9 years of waiting, we just got a small taste of the awesome that is to come. Final Fantasy 15 episode Duscae. Alright folks, so this is going to be a little bit different than my normal reviews because this is technically a demo review, and I'm not going to give this really a official rating considering it's just a demo and I can't judge it because of the full game. There's not much story to discuss, there's not much in terms of the gameplay variety, there's not much in terms of actually full experiencing the game itself as it's originally intended from beginning to end. So I'm more or less just going to talk about my first impressions and my overall thoughts about the episode Duscae demo. Now Final Fantasy 15 I have had a long history with. I remember distinctly when this was announced back in 2006 of having at the Sony press conference, having the trailer for it originally announced, and I will admit, at the time when I saw this trailer, I was usually the one who mocked Final Fantasy. I made fun of it so many times, and I just never bothered taking an interest in it. And something about me at that time just clicked in my head of looking at Final Fantasy 15 and versus 13 at the time. And I just became obsessed with this game. I would follow news stories every day, trying to figure out some little sliver of information. I would watch every trailer as it came out over and over and over again. I became so enthralled and obsessed with how much is going on with this game. But with all that said, what do I think about this demo after 9 years of waiting? In short, let me try and sum up my overall opinion and thoughts and just catharsis with this demo. Yes! I am so happy of what I saw. After seeing this demo, I didn't think that my hype could be any higher than it already was, but it is. Now, that's not saying this demo is perfect. There's one big problem I noticed with it, but considering it's a demo, I have to acknowledge it, and it is a problem I have noticed pop up amongst other people, but I'll get to that. The main cast of Noctis, Gladius, Prompto, and Ignis, I really bought into it. I bought the fact that these guys were a bunch of friends, they were on a road trip together. Actually, you know what, let me back up a little bit and describe the main point of this demo. The main point of this demo is just to get you familiar with the characters, the overall world that this is trying to set up, and the gameplay overall of how this is going to play out in terms of combat and how you're going to progress throughout the missions. A lot of this gameplay focuses on open world combat, is that you can tell this world is expansive and large. You can go pretty much anywhere you want in this general area, and it's just large. You see swamplands, you see caves, you see a chocobo ranch, you see little bits of highways, you go to a gas station. There's little bits and pieces everywhere, and there's wildlife all over the place, different pieces of foliage, and you can just go from woodlands to a foggy area, and there's just so much going on. And there's just little bits and pieces of variety in the environments just in this one square bit of space. And not only that, but there's also a humongous cave that you have to explore in order to progress to the mission, when the main mission is that you have to track down this behemoth because your car is broken down and you need the money from the bounty of said behemoth in order to pay off the repairs. And the combat itself was real time all the time. There was no going into random encounters. You saw everything that was coming in. Sure, there were some points where it would surprise you by having a whole bunch of military guys coming out of the sky out of nowhere from the enemy faction, which I'm assuming is from the game itself, but we don't know yet. We don't know the context of what's going on yet. But they come in from the enemy factions, they jump in, you basically have to fight them alongside, sometimes with the animals that are fighting you in that environment. And the best part is that you don't have to fight anyone if you want to. You can just run away from the battle at any given point in time. Sure, you won't get any experience points from it, but that doesn't mean that you have to fight every single thing that you come across in this game. You are allowed to pick and choose your battles as you please. The look of this demo, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. You see little bits and details of their clothing, of the foliage, of how they move about the environment. I've seen them shift their weight around just whenever they're trying to stand in a certain position. I've seen their clothes feather off in the wind. I've seen their hair blow in the wind. It's just, there's so much little details and little bits and pieces you see around them. In fact, when I was in the cave, I noticed that Noctis, the main character, would rub his arms together because the cave is so cold and he's actually freezing because he's wearing a short sleeve shirt. He would actually rub his arms together to warm himself up, and you could see the breath coming from his mouth because he was so cold. Just little details like that are littered throughout this entire demo. There is one small problem when it comes to the actual demo itself, and that's the frame rate. The frame rate unfortunately suffers from a lot of hiccups. Now, I understand that this is a demo and they can't perfect everything for the demo, and especially they have to focus more on the final product, but I will admit some people could get a little bit nitpicky and say, after 9 years of waiting, you basically pronounced a very slow, buggy demo or something like that. They'll try and say that, and they'll completely complain just for no good reason. But to be fair, this is not a problem that I saw just in my demo, but it is something I saw in a lot of other people's demos. So to be fair, it is a consistent problem that's coming up. I understand if people have a problem with that. I did too, but it's not one that completely ruined my experience for me, even though it was a bit noticeable at times. There's one other thing I need to mention as well. There's a summon in this demo that you get while going into this cave, and once you find it and actually are able to activate it, oh god, it is so good. It is one of the most cathartic and powerful attacks I've seen in recent memory. But then as soon as I saw it, and I did it twice, I just made me realize, like, okay, if that's how good or powerful this one summon is, I am salivating over the new ones because I can't wait to see them, because this one just roasted everything. But it just made me more excited to see the actual game. And I love the fact that it gives you a sense of the chemistry between the characters, give you an introduction to this world, an introduction to the gameplay itself, and it just made you feel like, okay, this is just a taste of what is to come, without spoiling jack crap about this game. I cannot wait to see Final Fantasy 15 in its entirety. This is the one that got me into the franchise, this is the one that got me interested in looking into it, and actually it is probably the game I would consider responsible for wanting to expand my horizons in what games could be, and expanding them into other genres that I may not have considered before, and franchises I used to mock but now love. And so with that said, I would fully recommend anyone to try out the Final Fantasy 15 demo. You can get it free when you purchase up Type 0. It's so worth it just by itself. But that being said, I will talk about Type 0 once I actually finish the game. I just wanted to play 15 after 9 years of waiting. I was so happy with what I saw. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little, how do I say, bit of enthusiasm regarding the Final Fantasy 15 demo. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me what you thought about it down below. And until next time, I'm Perry the One-Armed Legend, and I'll see you later.